Welcome back, Officers of the Republic is your course on Underworld Police Chief AP Gaines here, and a very, very, very important video for all of you guys. We're going to talk about how your gear, farming, or relics, all three facets of farming up characters, is going to need to change to accommodate the new GAC update. Now, as you guys know, the new GAC update, not necessarily a good thing for all players. If you're above 4 million GP, it's fantastic. If you're below 4 million GP, it's the worst thing since before sliced bread, I guess. Fortunately, CG has reached out via forums and other outlets to express their concern. Thank you guys for all of you guys in the community who made your voices heard. This is a great example of if you just speak your mind, tell it how you feel, CG will listen to us and hopefully make changes for the better. So they have reached out saying that they understand that the confusion in their post, not only was it not a great idea, they're looking to retract a lot of the stuff they said. So thank God for that. They realized their mistake and they're going to go about and fix it. So we're going to talk about how you need to adjust your farms, not only for characters, gears, and relics. I'm going to hop in. We're going to use the Nikki Biggs account. Nicole has graciously allowed us to do whatever we want today, which is nice. So before we get started with this video, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of April, which is coming up in about a week now. So if you want to support us, you can subscribe. If you're not interested, don't worry about it. No big deal. You just miss out on being part of the 69th precinct, baby. All right, anyway, let's hop in. So this is a new free-to-play account, just reached level 85, maybe almost a month ago, maybe not quite a month. It has been a few weeks. If you've been following along with the progress, you know most efficient account by far. We're going to hop into squads. So she will be in Division 11 until she reaches 1 million GP. Kind of 1 million and below is just everyone. See my last video if you guys want to see exact redistribution of all of the GP requirements in terms of divisions. So she needs 6 teams. One thing that I thought was going to be an issue with the AP Gaines approved farming strategy is that we were going to have way too many teams, and either we would just be upset that we can't use all of the great teams we farmed, or we would have too much GP. But since they have updated the redistribution of GP, that's not a problem. So we are still on track. We are still the best farming guide, so you guys should be totally fine if you've been following along. So the 6 teams that I helped her pick out are just a basic Padme team. Probably going to get her Padme up to 7 stars before the GAC comes in, because she does almost have a Gear 12 Django, so she will be rocking this. She has a Zeta on deck, just needs a couple of Omegas, and she'll start Zetaing up this Padme team. As well as she has a Basilishan team. This team's not going to be used in a 4, probably not even in a 3-man. It's probably going to be a 2-man high banners. Great for offense. As you guys know, first relic and most powerful character you should always have, Darth Vader, or else he kills you in your sleep. See Star Wars Monopoly if you guys are confused about that. Now, the tray in here is going to be confusing for a lot of you because a lot of you aren't going to have access to this tray. So this is really just a Darth Vader team. The tray is just in here because her account is obviously very good. As well as the Basilishan font upgraded from, if you followed along, the Darth Revan grind that happens after we get our core teams out of the way. CLS is looking good here. I didn't even realize her boss could just hit 5 stars. I could probably unlock Chewbacca for her right now. Maybe I'll make another video about that in a day or two. But Chewbacca is going to be inserted in here. It's probably just going to be a CLS 3-man. We got to be efficient with banners. And we have the Zeta right here. So this is either a fantastic defensive or a great offensive team. How it's looking, since she has good banners here, a solo here, and great banners here, it's looking like Padme defense, Bounty Hunters defense, and Geonosians defense. This can't be beaten by pretty much anyone near her. If they have Jedi Knight Revans, they can probably get through this. Without Jedi Knight Revan, that's unbeatable for most squads, as well as this team is definitely unbeatable for most squads. And then just a 7th team in here. This is her current farm. She will be unlocking Darth Revan in the near future after she gets what's-his-face, Karth up to 7 stars, and then just get some Gear 10-ish on everyone. So these are the teams she's rocking. Now let's talk about how this is going to have to change. Nothing really changes for us. We're still fortunately on track to be super efficient, but what we are going to have to do is we're going to realize that we're not going to need more teams quite so fast. So what we're going to do is while we're farming up that Darth Revan team, we're actually going to shift into gear farms for teams like this Padme squad right here. We're going to have to gear them up, and eventually this team will be looking to get some relics on top of it. As well as the CLS team, once Chewbacca is in there, we're going to have to relic this team up. Not going to do too much with the Geonosians. As you guys know, Geonosians don't need to go up too high to be effective. And the Bounty Hunters might see a Gear 12 on Django just for Padme 7 stars, but other than that, that's how she's going to go. Now, how does this affect you guys? How is this going to affect? I talked about how it's going to affect Nicole, but how is it going to affect you guys? So if you guys are in the earlier stages of the game, you're going to use less teams, which is, of course, unfortunate unless CG honors their word and retracts all of the terrible mistakes that they've made. You're going to need to gear and relic up characters a lot faster. So if you follow the AP Gains 0 GP to 3 million GP guide, it's in the Swigo Guides playlist I have on my channel, always going to be linked at the end of the video. So if you stay till the end, the little card that pops up will take you to that playlist so that you guys can check that out. You're going to have to gear and relic up characters much higher before you move on to other characters. So the entire farming guide stays the same, but your progressions are going to be a little bit different. So if you're an early game player, you're going to have to gear 10, gear 11 some teams. If you're a mid game player, you're going to have to get those relics in early. And if you're a late game player, you're going to have incredibly maxed out teams before you progress into new divisions where you require more teams. Because since the amount of teams you can use is drastically lower, having great depth across your roster is no longer as important. It's still fantastically important, especially as you transition into new divisions, but it's on the back burner just a little bit because of the reductions in terms of teams. So you have to hit a checklist before you move on to another division. Once you move on to another division, you have to realize you're going to be at the bottom of the food chain. You went from being the top of the food chain to the bottom of the food chain. It's like going from 5th grade to 6th grade, or from like 8th grade into high school, or high school into college, or college into the workforce. You went from being the top dog to being the bottom of the totem pole, the bottom of the barrel. Scraping the barrel you will be. So checklist before we move on to a division. Do I have enough teams for the next division? That's number one. If you qualify for that, you are ready to go. If you're following the AP Gains Approved strategy, that will be no problem. Definitely something that helps you above other farming guides. Do I have the teams in terms of offense to counter teams that I will see on defense? I.e., if I see gases, do I have a great CLS gas counter, or do I have another gas that can do a mirror match? Gas counters can be kind of unpredictable. Let's say you're going against a lot of... Let's say you have a Galactic Legend, for example. That's the one that people bring up all the time. Do you have your free-to-play Galactic Legend counter? If you have all of these checked off, depending at the different divisions, it's going to change for everyone. If you have enough teams and the counters necessary, hoard up and prepare to boost that GP really quickly once you meet that threshold, so that you're not going to be at the bottom of the barrel for too long. If you meet those 3 things, you are ready to move up into another division. Now, as we move into another division, we have to realize that the strategy is going to change a little bit. As you progress farther and farther, you need more teams, which is why, thankfully, the AP Gains Approved strategy has enough depth. If you follow along, it's laid out pretty easily, but you'll have enough depth. But those teams aren't going to be useful until a little bit later, which is unfortunate, but luckily AP Gains thinks ahead. He predicts CG's. I don't know why I talked about myself in the third person all the time, but he predicts the mayhem that CG brings upon us. Now, something very important that a lot of you guys talk about, and admittedly me and other YouTubers forget to cover in our videos, is ships. Now, the biggest downside of this whole GAC update, especially for higher end players, is the amount of ships you need. Now, you guys all love Darth Locator. I talk with him all the time. We did a video once this update came, the announcement came live. He was probably one of the most upset in the community in terms of YouTubers, because he built his GAC around having powerful ships to prevent teams or prevent opponents from either clearing or getting good banners, allowing him a massive advantage. That's the advantage in his farming guide, as opposed to having enough teams and being efficient in my farming guide. So he's going to be in a detriment because he has 4 good teams and can only use 2. So that advantage is no longer there. It's not putting him as a disadvantage. What it's doing is taking away that advantage. So a lot of you players who have great ships, have really solid rosters all across the board, you're not going into a disadvantage, so don't be too upset. But what you are going to do is lose that advantage that you had, which means we got to be bigger brained, boys. We got to be bigger brained, and that's not it's not the end of the world. So if you're like an early free-to-play account, make sure you get your teams up. You're going to want to gear and relic a lot sooner before hopping divisions. Other than that, you should be in a good spot. As always, I love you guys. Subscribe if you enjoy the videos, and I'll see you guys later.